Hi, welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. My name's Mark McNulty, president of Action Coach Bluegrass. And today I have with me as my guest TJ Barnett, who is the founder of Full Court Social and the president of Middletech. Welcome, TJ.
Hey, what's going on, Mike? Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, really looking forward to hearing a little bit about your business today and sharing some tips. So today we're going to be talking with TJ about his business, his journey to business ownership, some of the challenges, best practices that he's experienced and learned, and then just share a peek into what it's really like to own a business. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe so you get notifications when we drop future interviews. So TJ, welcome and thanks so much for being here today. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to found Full Court and Middletech.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mark. Yeah, super excited to be on and chat through kind of my journey. Full court kind of starts back in my freshman year of college when I was just a kid that wanted to be an entrepreneur, right? I think coming into college and having, to identify who you are and what you want to do is so much pressure. So really just knew that I wanted to be a part of something that was bigger than myself. So me and a few friends started a company called Finance U, and I was the director of marketing. But at that time, nobody cares about titles, right? It's just about working to make a thing work. And it was a crowdsourced, crowd-funded scholarship program for college students. And so we did that for a couple of years, and that's really where I got my feet wet in social media, marketing, advertising, all that great stuff. And then after a couple of years, we kind of shut that down. Just college schedule, we got too busy and decided to kind of move on from that. But then I went from there to a company called Fuji here in Lexington, where I really started to dive deep into social media and marketing in general. Right, decided to help them build out a strategy for what they do. They're an experiential marketing brand that delivers anywhere from food to toys on behalf of big brands. A great example is we delivered Baby Groots for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And so, I think one of the things that I learned there that really helped launch me into where I am now was just that startup feel, right? When you start something, when you're a part of a team that's so small and so niche, and it gets to 10, 15, 20, 30 people, you kind of see what it takes to scale. And that's what I took away from that. And so I actually took a year off from college to do that, which was super exciting. I thought I was going to be a millionaire. That didn't happen, and I'm still here. So, but I think again, the biggest thing that it taught me was how can we take this and build it, right? So from there, I went back to school after Fuji ended, for me personally, and then I actually got let go from the job. It was a big layoff, big learning lesson, right? That could kind of cater me back into school. Went back to school and knew that me and my wife wanted to get out of Kentucky. So finished school in 2019, and just applied for every big job: Google, Spotify, NBA, NFL, and just trying to see what was out there to be able to go to another city and hopefully New York and figure out how to live life and have fun over there. And so we did that. After 6 months and like six different interviews, I got a job with the NBA as a social media programmer, where I would work from 6 to 2:30 in the morning, just grinding on NBA games, covering them on social media, creating content, having some fun there. And that's really where I got my passion for social media. Right, before it was a lot of marketing and just like how social can help. But now with the NBA, I saw how powerful the tool social media is becoming. And again, that was in 2019. Fast forward a few years, that's when I started Full Court, was in 2021. Right, and my NBA contract had kind of come down, and I had to figure out what to do. And so Full Court just made sense. I was like, there's so much content with the NBA. If I can kind of create what they're doing, but at a smaller scale for small businesses or maybe even premium brands, just to figure it out, that's what I'm going to do. So started Full Court. And then at the same time, I became a part of the Middletech team and helped them, as the director of content, basically create a content strategy that would make sense and help them grow more followers. So Middletech is a media company that has two now podcasts under it, Develop Lex and Middletech Podcast. And so, yeah, it was really just all content for me. There was a period where it was just every day scrolling social, hours and hours and hours on end. I'm not there now, luckily. I'm able to delegate a little bit more of that. But for a couple of years, it was definitely just super grind mode on that. And so, as I was starting full court, um, there was an opportunity that came up to me from the NFL that to work on their main account at NFL. And so I didn't have any clients, so I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do it." I'll stay remote, and I kind of built full court on the side while I did NFL for full time for 2 years. And I was fortunate enough last September to go full time on full court. Leaving the NFL, and now here we are with about 25 brands on social. We've got 2 full-time employees. We've got about 7 or 8 contractors that help us create content for our clients. And yeah, man, I know I tried to shorten that as much as I could, but that's kind of the whole story on how we're here today.
Yeah. So no, the stories are important, because there's so many different ways to come into owning a business, right? And the stories are really important because it's all our experience ends up is what leads us there, and just hearing the different paths just
Yeah.
opens our eyes to, you can get to be a business owner any way of a million different ways, right? So I just
Yeah, and being laid
so
off too, like I think that's one of the biggest things that motivated me. I know it necessarily wasn't in my hands. It's more of a company thing, and there was a big group laid off. But I think that really sat with me and said, that's not going to happen again, right? I'm going to be in control of my own destiny, and that's really why entrepreneurship is what is for me.
yeah. So tell us about, what full court social does, right? Social media, right? Everybody, there's a million people out there say, yeah, I do social media. So tell me, what does full court social do? What makes you really stand out and different from the person on every street corner that says they're a social media consultant?
Yeah, no, and there's definitely a big difference, and it's pretty funny when people can see our packages and just kind of see how they differ from somebody who does it on the side. I think the best way to describe it is I took the quantity of content from the NBA and the quality of content from the NFL and kind of merged those two to create Full Court Social and deliver our services, right? So Full Court Social is a full scale social media agency. From the very beginning, we create your social media strategy. That's determining what channels you want to operate on, what kind of content types, a competitor analysis, and then even kind of doing an audit of your own social as well to see where we can help you create better content, right? So after the content strategy is finalized, we then go into the content creation process. A lot of social agencies or I don't know the best word, social contractors that you may work with usually don't create content for you, usually don't, have access to videographers and video editors, graphic designers. And that's where we separate ourselves, right? We do full on content shoots with our clients to create social media content for them that will help them grow their brand. So you got strategy, content creation, and then on the back end, we're going to manage your content as well and put it in the calendar so that way you can see when things are going out and what the copy is. We publish the content and then we engage on the actual channels, which is so important to growing a following. Because it's one thing to post and post consistently, which is extremely important. That's our guarantee. Is we make sure you get at least 2 posts out per week, guaranteed. But then engaging, sharing stuff with the story, commenting, liking posts within your niche. It's so important to growing that following, but also growing trust and credibility within your brand and your niche. So yeah, that's what separates us, man. I think it's just the process that we've built, and the elite content that we create for our clients. You can definitely tell when somebody picked up full court by just scrolling their Instagram feed. It'll be pretty easy.
Okay. So this might be obvious, but I'll ask it anyway. So how do you market full court?
Yeah,
How do
no,
you get your
yeah, no, and that's something that we're actually working on right now. Obviously, we have our own social media channel where we kind of highlight the content that we've created. We worked on a few different ways to kind of show, hey, here's what we do, here's why it's awesome. And then I think, the biggest thing for me is really connecting with people here in the community, and just grabbing a coffee, grabbing a lunch. And it's been a lot of face-to-face marketing right now for our company. But we are looking to really expand that in 2025. We're going to start doing social media ads. We want to expand. Right now, we're pretty local here in Lexington, and we have some great clients, right? Just to name a few: Club Blue NIL for UK, Gatton Park, the Kentucky Castle that we work with on a daily basis. But we haven't had a chance to really expand into a Louisville or a Cincinnati or a Nashville yet. But I'm excited because I think that's really where we're headed. And so for us, outside of our own social media, we haven't done too much marketing because there's been so much inbound from local clients who really appreciate our work and refer us. So yeah, that's a great question, and it's something that outside of social, we don't really do too much of. Our sister company, Bolt Marketing, is actually going to help us do that. It's been so word of mouth to start it, but now it's like, okay, we got to actually get SEO running, run some ads, write some blogs. So all that is coming in the new year, and we're super excited for that.
Right. So excellent. Thank you. So when you think back on your journey from like your NFL contract to starting the business, so what was that transition like going from, I'm on contract with the NBA and now I got a contract with the NFL. Now I'm going to go for it. And what was
Yeah.
that transition like?
Yeah, no, it was awesome, man. And I lived in New York during the pandemic. I moved there 3 months beforehand. So that was crazy to be in the middle of the biggest city arguably in the world, one of the biggest cities in the world, to then being in an empty city. You know what I mean? So I think seeing that definitely gave me some perspective. And I was like, I'm not going to pay these outrageous prices when I could just go back to Kentucky, work remotely, and save $1,500 a month at the minimum on rent. So
Mhm.
came back to Kentucky, and I think between the NBA and full court, when I came back to Kentucky, I had a lot of connections here. All my friends from college are still here. Family was still here, so being able to reconnect with them and chat with them, and who knows if if COVID never happened and I would have stayed in New York, who knows where I'd be, right? I have no idea if I would have gotten a full-time job with the NBA, full-time with the NFL. But I'm glad I came back because it allowed me to really get into who I am as an entrepreneur, right? Everybody encouraged me to do this, said, when are you going to start your own thing? Put pressure on me, which I needed. And so doing that got the ability to start it, but I knew I couldn't do anything until I had clients. And so jumping into the NFL, it was like, okay, I did the NBA. I'm confident I can do the NFL with no problem. And it was a bit of a learning curve because I had a little bit more responsibility. It was the actual at NFL channel. So it's 100 million followers like that you can access, which was crazy. But I think at the same time, it just gave me that perspective, right? That allowed me to kind of build full court on the side, build relationships here locally while my team in the NFL was in New York and LA. I'm in Kentucky. And so using Slack pretty much helped me have a job, and I think, that's one of the things too, is just communication. Being able to communicate with people here locally, growing full court, and then also at the same time making sure that I'm locked into the NFL. And I've always been a fan, so it was never really hard for me to, I'm still locked on the NFL even when I'm not working. Even though my Bengals are terrible this year, it's okay. Still love them. But yeah, man, I think the biggest challenge for me, it got to a point where I was doing full court, middle tech, and the NFL at the same time, where I had probably 10 clients or full court. Middle Tech just started to develop Lex as a brand. So now two brands that we had to create content strategy for. And then on the side, it's like, oh, well, I'm also working 35 hours a week for the biggest sports brand in America. And it just got to me mentally, right? I think it was hard to, every day you're working 12, 13 hours a day, 8 for the NFL, and then it's 4 or 5 for middle tech and full court. And it just gets to you mentally. So I think that was my biggest struggle, was just I didn't have a work-life balance, and and I'm not saying that's how you do it or that's how, it's supposed to be done. But I think that as entrepreneurs, we all know that if you're passionate about something, you're going to put that work in. And I definitely have. And I've been able to again let go a little bit more, which has been a blessing. But just having to go through that 2 year period where I was just locked in my office every day, that was crazy.
Right. So when you went full time, full court, what was that transition? What changed? What did you have to
Yeah,
start and stop doing?
yeah, great question. It actually was a bit of a conundrum in my head because I had been so busy knowing, working all those hours, and then all of a sudden it was like peace, right? It was like this is ended. But what changed was now we just added 7 clients because I'm full time and I could take it on. So basically, all that I took off my plate is back on my plate, and we're up to about 24 clients. And I'm like, okay, now I got to hire somebody, right? I think one of the biggest things about entrepreneurs is knowing when to expand your team, and that was definitely when I realized, hey, that's what I have to do. And so bringing on an operations manager and a full time programmer, social media programmer who creates calendars, who publishes, who engages. That really helped me out a lot, right? And I think that was the biggest change is understanding I can't do this by myself. I need help, and I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs face. Is it's awesome to have the idea. It's awesome to build it out on your own, but you're never going to get where you want to be without other people, and you have to humbly accept and admit that.
Right. And I call that transition, you're going from being self-employed
Yeah.
to an actual manager and owner.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, and it's so different. Now you've got, and again, my employees are younger, so it's not like they're making a crazy amount, but at the same time, it's their livelihood, and you have the responsibility as an owner. That's as hard as you work is what's going to get you money to pay them and pay them more and pay them well, so that way they can be happy, right? So that's now on your shoulders, which creates mental stress, but it also creates motivation, right? You use that to fuel you to be better every day.
Yeah, okay. So where do you see full court social 3 to 5 years down the road and middle tech, both?
Yeah, I think for full court, the biggest thing for us is we've really this year kind of understood we're reading traction. We're almost done with traction, creating an operating system that we can scale the business. I think in 3 to 5 years, it would be great if we had, multiple locations in bigger cities. I think for us, we want to work with high premium quality brands, um, either high premium quality brands or someone who cares about social media. You have to care about this in order for it to work. If you want somebody to just manage your page, and you're not going to respond to emails, you're not going to film content. We don't really want to work with you in that sense, right? Because we need somebody who is going to be dedicated to building your brand on social media, because at the end of the day, it's not going to work without that person being behind it. And so and then also again, high quality premium brands. If you look at STN Digital, we've looked at them and try to model what we're doing, and that based on kind of how they've performed. And I mean, they're a great company that works with like the brands like Hulu, ESPN, various sports brands. I think that's where we really want to go is working with high premium quality brands. And then at the same time, right, in 3 to 5 years, the way that we've mapped it out, we have about 10 full-time employees. We've got over 70 to 80 clients that we're operating social for. And I think, it's something it's very attainable. It's just about how we execute on our process and build that out over the next few months. And then for Middle Tech, I would say for us, we're really in a fun time right now. Middle Tech, we are building 2 separate podcast brands that has resonated with a local niche audience. And we're seeing that and saying, okay, if we can build a developed Lex that has 16,000 followers on social media, thousands of listens on the podcast every week, and it's for a localized Lexington development brand. Well, why can't we replicate that across various markets? Why can't we create a developed Blue, a developed Nash, a developed Cincy, right? And I think that's really where we want to go as a media company, right? We do 4 different things as a media company. We do social media, newsletter, events, and then at the end of all of that is the podcast, right? So it becomes a funnel, right? You listen to the podcast, you follow our social media, you sign up for the newsletter, and then you come to the event and you have in-person interactions with people within your community that want to talk to you. We have live podcasts, we have Q&As, just have regular happy hours, right? And for us to be able to expand that, I think what social media has done is that it's created a bunch of giant bubbles that you're a part of, right? And after COVID, people really wanted to get out. What we're seeing now is the need and the desire for a local community that cares about you and that wants to help you grow. And I think the podcasts and the brands can help create that with what we're doing, and that's kind of our goal 3 to 5 years from now. Hopefully, we have 7, 8, 9, 10 shows across the country that we're operating based on our processes.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Content, video content, podcasts, that's becoming the dominant way to create that following and build the networks in the communities.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and you know that more than anybody, right? We're on here on your podcast. People just want to hear people within their community. They want to connect people within their community, and they want to share stories. And so we want to give them that outlet.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so last few questions here. We've covered a lot, and I love the story, the transition from self-employed to owning it, and then expansion plans, and understanding, and just going through the learning and understanding of how do I start growing. How do I add it's time to add employees, all challenges. So great job. So last few questions here to wrap us up. So what has been your key to success in business?
Yeah, I think my key to success, such a great question, because there are so many things. I think personally, my key to success is my faith in Jesus and the fact that He's, led me to where I am today. As a person, I think that has bled into who I am as a business owner. The fact that I'm a selfless leader. I take a lot of that from my belief in Him. And then following that, personally, my wife and the way that she supports me. And I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing for the key to success is having great people around you. I think no matter what business you're in, it's a people business. People are operating behind every single brand, every sale that you're trying to get. There is a person on the other end of that. If they like you and if they want to work with you, they're going to work with you, right? So Full Court Social has great services, great offerings, and obviously we execute at a high level. But if people didn't like me, if people didn't like our team, it really wouldn't go where we wanted it to go. So I think the biggest key to success is having the great people in your corner to support you, to work with you, and to help you build, what you want to do. And if you can't manage and help and inspire people, then maybe entrepreneurship isn't for you. But I think that's the biggest key to success, in my opinion, for building a brand.
Right, awesome. So what's your number one piece of advice for other business owners?
Yeah, I think my biggest piece of advice is don't be too hard on yourself. I think being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of dark moments in which you maybe you're on the brink of failing, on the brink of going bankrupt. There's things that aren't working for you, and it can be a very dark space. I mean, imagine owning a social media company. How many times I've doom scrolled? You know what I mean? Only because it's my job, and then I'm working, and then all of a sudden it's been an hour, and I'm now on some random TikTok page, or some YouTube video that I've now discovered or something like that. But I think the biggest thing is just not being too hard on yourself. Everybody makes mistakes. Every company is going to fail so many times that you won't even be able to count it. But the best thing is just to get back up and keep going, keep working hard, and hard work trumps anything, right? It doesn't matter what you do. If you work hard enough, you'll succeed.
Okay. So what's a book you're reading or listening to? We listen to books more than we read these days, that you'd recommend for other business owners.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Like I said, we're reading Traction right now. It's a fantastic book because it's not just a book that you're reading for philosophy or for what the author has to say about various inspiration tactics. It's a hey, here's an operating system that you can build and implement into your business today, right? The EOS operating system, and teaching who are you, right? If you're an entrepreneur, that should be the first book you read, because it goes straight. It goes to start out. It says, who the heck are you? What are your core values? Okay, you've got your core values. Who's on your team? How do you decide who's on your team? What the right seat is, or the right person? How do you build an operating system? Let's figure out EOS. Let's put an accountability chart. So in my opinion, there is no better book to read if you're starting a business than Traction, because it truly gets you started and helps you build what you're trying to build.
Awesome. So if you could choose one area of your business to improve tomorrow, if I had that magic wand, what would it be?
Yeah, man, it's a great question. I would say there's so many things. I would say for us, the biggest improvement would need to be figuring out how to internally process our operations, which is funny because this is what we're doing right now with Traction, and probably bring more things in house versus contractors. Love our contractors. Have been so happy with what they've been able to do for us. But for us, it's like, there's so much money going out to the contractors now that it's becoming a bit of a roadblock. So I think for us, just figuring out internally, how do we do that? Because again, if we got to scale, right? It's one thing to be great in Lexington, but it's another thing to be great across the country. So figuring out the best way to scale is how we got to figure that out.
Okay, awesome. So so how do people find you?
Yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, TJ Barnett. My Instagram, tj.barnett1217. Go to fullcourtsocial.com. You can email me there. Would love to connect. Again, I appreciate the opportunity, Mark, for having me on. And I think one of the things that I really want to do is just, it goes back to my what inspires me, or my biggest thing for business is I love people. I want to connect with you. I want to hear your story. If we work together, great. If not, that's not a big deal. I'm never in it for the sale. I'm always in it for the connection and for even giving a helping hand. I just love to meet, love to talk, and have a conversation so we can get to know each other and help each other out.
Awesome. So I really appreciate your time. So for our listeners out there, this has been TJ Barnett, founder of Full Court Social, president of Middle Tech, and fullcourtsocial.com. Go out, you can go learn all about them, contact them there, and you'll obviously find them all over social media. A lot of good tips today and a great story for going from employed to self-employed to business owner, which is a path, a journey a lot of us take, but there's so many different ways to take that journey. So I encourage you to bookmark this one and watch it a couple times. A lot of little nuggets, little learnings in there. TJ, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. It's been awesome having you on.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. It's been great. And now it's time to rest a little bit and get ready for some turkey on Thursday.
Absolutely. So thank you, listeners, and thank you, TJ. And we will see you all on the next interview. Thanks. Bye.